Hey all, Hipper here. So lately we haven't had a lot of stuff going on in the cruiser space, so I've been using some of my resources to play around with battleship commanders. And this video here we're looking at Jean-Luc pickup. So I have von Hipper on as inspiration, and also a fairly high level Haruna, which gives me better dispersion of my secondaries. Then I use flammable cannoneer, and yeah, you can go or not with this one. And this is Luke's special skill fusillade, and you get 2 extra secondary charges and better penetration and lower reload time on the secondary booster. So especially the penetration I was quite excited to try out, because you're giving up a little bit of range on your secondaries, but I actually think that this could be better than that extra kilometer of so range, because they are so inaccurate anyway at that distance. And for the ship, it's a full secondary build, which I always do at Bismarck, because, I mean, why not? If you want to go for a pure gun build, I usually do it on turrets. So we have 5 enhanced secondary targeting consumables here, and of course that means that you pretty much have to use them right after each other if you want to use all of them throughout the game, which, yeah, never happens. So I don't know why we're getting 5 of them. So as you see here, more than 10 kilometer range and quite good reload on everything, and of course they are pretty much as accurate as they can be, because I'm using Luke, and I'm also using Haruna and Hipper. So this is a full secondary build. So we get good range and we get good penetration on our secondaries. So I think it's a good mix of everything basically. So the reason I picked flammable cannoneer on this ship here, and of course that makes it easier to get set on fire, but I don't think the whole HE spam meta is so bad at the moment, so that's why I go for it, and I can always pick another one if suddenly Clevelands are in fashion again, but at the moment it's not that bad. It's more Russian cruisers and destroyers really, so at the moment I don't think it's a downside really. So this game here is no barn burner by any measure, but it's a decent game in Bismarck, and like the thing with Bismarck is that like sometimes you have great games and sometimes you have mediocre games, and it's not really up to you. It pretty much is up to how close you are to other ships. So whether you get those secondaries to fire or not, because the amount of damage you can do with your primary guns is pretty much always the same. So the barn burner games are pretty much up to how much you get to use your secondaries basically. And in this game here we're doing really well. In a minute or so we'll have all 3 caps, and when the situation is like that, there's really no need to push, although that's what Bismarck does really well. But if we have all caps, then it's just like a pushing Bismarck. It's just a liability really. So it's better just to hang back like I'm doing here, to save your hit points for when it really counts, which will be later in the game. Because having all 3 caps and just sitting here and having time tick away means that time is on our side. So there's no need to ruin that basically. So if you're wondering, that's why I'm not engaging Communist Bob here, who's sailing a fascist ship, but whatever, who knows. So it's also a perfect example of why you shouldn't hang back when you're behind on caps, because from now on we are 3 minutes into the game, and we have 2 caps, and we are about to pick up the A cap, the 3rd one, and all that happens now is just time ticking away, and with every second that passes the red team is in a worse position than they were the second before, and it's primarily up to the fact that these guys are just sitting behind the rock up there and not making any moves at all. And if I was in their position, I would definitely push, like within reason, of course. But I am not in their position. I'm in my position, and we're ahead on caps, and we're doing well. And pushing is just a risk, an unnecessary risk. So that's why I'm sitting still here and I'm waiting for them to make a move. And I bet if I was on this red team here, I would be quite displeased, because if there's one thing I don't like in this game, it's passive gameplay, and this for sure is probably some of the most passive gameplay I've seen in a long time, because literally no one is making a move, and this kind of stalemate gameplay is just horribly dreadful. And I know it's kind of my own fault because I'm not pushing, but like I said before, there's no need. Why would I run into this crossfire of every ship on the map when I don't have to? We are ahead, we are behind on ships, so it's a good thing to conserve a battleship when I don't have to do anything. If no one pushes, then we'll win. So just in the interest of time, I'll just skip through this part of the battle here, because it's almost 2 minutes where absolutely nothing happens, and we're just ticking points in. So finally something's happening now. The Reds have realized that they are suddenly behind by nearly 200 points because they haven't done anything at all. And now they have set their sights on the B cap. So obviously this is my cue. So I'm going to head in with my secondary build and see if I can't actually do something useful in this battle here. I mean, I am at 42,000 damage, so it's not like I haven't been doing anything, but like the way this battle has been going, it's just been pretty slow up until now. But finally they're pushing, and they have to, because there's 7 minutes left of the battle, and they've been wasting a lot of time that they really didn't have to waste. So obviously it's do or die time now for the red team, and it's a position they put themselves in by doing absolutely nothing. So we'll gladly accept the invitation and see if we can't put a little hurt on this Iowa here. It was a nice salvo, but I didn't get any citadels, which is a bit annoying. But anyway, just heading in so we can first of all get the secondaries going like we are now, and like after playing this battle and a few others, and it's been a while now, I don't see much difference between them, honestly. It only seems to really help when you're facing destroyers with your secondaries, where you get better penetrations. But I think I'll still stick with Jean-Luc here, whatever his name is, simply for the fact that he's a little bit unusual. And then when I have a high level Haruna on as well, it's a pretty good build. It is a bit of a waste that he gives you 5 secondary boosts, because it's very rare you get to use all of them. See, I've only used 1 so far, and there's 6 minutes left of the game, so that means I can perhaps use another one, and that's it. So getting the opportunity to use all 5 is fairly unlikely. So don't invest any resources into him for that reason. The only reason I think he is good is the extra penetration. And there we got a citadel finally. Is the extra penetration on your secondaries. And I don't want to give up Haruna because she gives me a lot better dispersion. But I think a better fire chance if you don't have Haruna would be another good option in combination with Luke here. I could also give up von Hipper, but then the range of my secondaries start to be a little bit too low, and I'll have to get a little bit too close to enemies. So it's a matter of give and take, and I think this is probably the sweet spot build right here. And one thing I really love about Bismarck is that it has a sonar. Like, you are not so vulnerable to torpedo attack as most other battleships are. And the problem with that is that I don't see many players actually taking advantage of that. I mean, a Bismarck is almost as effective in unmasking and perhaps also taking out destroyers as a cruiser is, because you have sonar and you have those deadly secondaries. And with Jean-Luc here, you got pretty good penetration, meaning that every secondary hit will probably be a penetration, so it'll give you extra damage as well. And if you're a destroyer, that's a pretty bad thing. So I wish more players would play this ship a little bit more aggressive. Like here, like just set up camp in the middle of the cap and pop that sonar on and heal when you have to, and turn your secondary boosts on when you have to, and that works wonderful. And of course you can only do it when you're not going to be crossfired by a million battleships, because obviously. So you see, the red team is not actually playing a bad match. Like, they're sinking a lot of ships and they're putting up a fight. They're just not being aggressive enough. Like, they're doing well, but they are so far behind on points now because they didn't make a move basically until now. Until what is that? Like 12 minutes into the game, and it's way too late. I mean, we only need another 100 points if we won. So it's something to keep in mind that like sitting too far back and waiting for your teammates to be used at meat shields is not a good strategy if no one actually runs in and wants to be the meat shield, because then you're just going to lose. Should be a pretty like obvious thing for most people, but not for everyone, I guess. So we've got Communist Bob. He's out of his hiding place and he's finally capping now with 2 minutes left. So 3 minutes left. So that means he, if he doesn't get reset, he might be able to cap. But as you can see here, he is moving forward a little bit too much, and I'm just lining up my kill shot here. And that's the end of Communist Bob in his fascist ship. So, I mean, yeah, he did his best, but they should have pushed in earlier. They should have made an effort, because they're going to lose on points no matter what they do. And especially now they're down a ship, so we have all the advantages now. So if you have Jean-Luc here and you haven't got any other Bismarck commander already leveled, I think he's a very good choice. I think he's probably the best choice for your primary commander. But you will need Haruna and Hipper as well, and then it starts to be an expensive build. And if you already have a Bismarck build, then stick with that. The pros aren't that much more important here. So I hope that gave a little bit of an insight into this Bismarck build here, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you out there.